This is the TONOR TC-777 USB condenser mic, and in today's video we're trying to figure out whether this only $40 USB mic is worth your money if you want to get into streaming or start your own YouTube channel. They were so kind to provide a free sample to do my tests with. However, TONOR did not pay me in any form or fashion for this review, and they also aren't going to be able to influence my verdict on this mic. Clearly, with this mic only being $40, you shouldn't really expect amazing quality coming out of this microphone. However, it should definitely be an upgrade over a regular headset microphone, because otherwise the $40 are basically wasted money. So in this video, I'm going to take this microphone onto a thorough test drive and try to figure out whether this is a worthwhile upgrade over a headset and whether there are any other options out there in this sort of price range. But first, let's start up with the specification of the TC-777. Now, the polar pattern, so this is where the microphone picks up the voice, is cardioid, which is basically the standard polar pattern for basically any broadcasting microphone. So that means it basically picks up audio in front of the microphone and rejects it from behind. Now, this is actually really good for a broadcast mic because you usually have it standing in front of a keyboard and you don't want the noise of the keyboard to actually be broadcasted. We're actually going to do a test of how well this microphone rejects a keyboard that is right behind it. However, you also have to actually use it in the right way. Now, the microphone actually does have a TONOR sign or kind of a TONOR labeling in the front, which is where the cardioid polar pattern is actually directed towards. So definitely do make sure to actually properly assemble it into the shock mount in a way that the TONOR label is on the front. Furthermore, this microphone has a frequency response from 100 Hz to 16,000 kHz, which actually isn't too great. Most other microphones out there go between 20 and 20,000 kHz. So it has a bit of a narrower frequency response, this one, but it should be definitely fine to simply pick up voice and maybe some instruments. And finally, it has a signal to noise ratio of 56 decibels. Now, to make this super simple, basically a high signal to noise ratio means that the microphone has a very low floor noise and therefore is quiet in quiet recordings, whereas a low signal to noise ratio actually results in a very noticeable background noise or background humming that comes kind of from the electronics of the microphone. So in this case, the microphone has a SNR of 56, which is actually kind of on the low end of what you'd rather want to look at in terms of a USB condenser mic. Somewhere around 75 decibels is probably what you're aiming for to get a clean recording. But we are also going to have a listen to the noise floor that this microphone produces in just a second. Now let's move on from the specifications and let's talk about what you're actually getting in the box when you're buying the TONOR TC-777. Now in the box, you're getting obviously the USB condenser mic, which is connected to your computer over a maybe 1.5 meter long USB cable. It's a regular USB Type A plug that you have to use. And unfortunately, the cable is non-detachable. This is a little bit sad because for that reason, you're not going to be able to actually connect a longer USB cable. So you're really going to have either your PC or a USB hub somewhere close to you in order to use this microphone properly. Now, besides the microphone, you're also getting a windshield, which is detachable, as well as a pop filter in front of the microphone. Finally, with these $40, you're also getting a very small shock mount, which basically helps to prevent getting vibrations from your table into your microphone. And then you're finally also getting a small stand in order to place the microphone in front of you. Now, to be honest, I think for these $40, you're actually getting quite a lot in terms of microphone equipment. I mean, most other microphones don't include a windshield, a pop filter, a shock mount, or feet, and they're basically just the microphone. And they're usually going for a much higher price. So for these $40, you're definitely getting a lot value for your money. Now, both the microphone and the stand are built really well, so there is no kind of wobbling around or creaking or cracking when touching the microphone. I think the build quality should be considered really well for the $40 price point. Now, one thing I'm really not happy with is this shock mount that they included with the microphone, because the microphone only extends about half a centimeter beyond the shock mount, and therefore whenever you just slightly lift the microphone upwards, it kind of falls out of the shock mount and then rests on the sides on the kind of plastic tabs there, and therefore the microphone kind of just wobbles around in the shock mount and you kind of have to place it back into the shock mount properly. Other than that, I think the pop filter is just well done, and we're gonna have a listen to audio samples with and without the pop filter in order to show you the kind of pop rejection of this microphone. Another really cool feature that I almost completely overlooked is the fact that you can remove the stand from the shock mount, which will then reveal a 5/8 inch screw hole that you can use to attach the TONOR TC-777 to a desk clamp, or basically any microphone arm that you already own. Note that you'll probably also need a 1/4 inch screw adapter in order to mount the TONOR TC-777 to popular microphone arms such as the Rode PSA-1. Also, you should note that there is no mute button or volume knob on this microphone, so if you want to change the volume of this mic, then you'll have to do it through software. By the way, this is actually my first video in my new YouTube studio. If you want to see the process of me building out this room into my new YouTube studio, then definitely check out the video linked in the card right now. Alright, now for this part I had to kind of create a bit of a sound chamber to actually test the TONOR TC-777 in a situation that isn't influenced by both reverb and external sound sources. So I turned off all of the computers, my server, and I put up these kind of acoustic foam around me to make sure that I actually have basically no reverb going into the microphone here. So this could basically be considered a perfect situation where you could test this microphone in. So I guess next I'm going to test the low noise capability of the TONOR TC-777 and see how it compares, for example, to the Blue Snowball, and also how it compares to this Rode Lav Mic Plus, which is basically also a $50 microphone that could be sort of compared to the TONOR TC-777. So let's have a listen at the low noise capabilities of the TONOR TC-777. Next, let's test the low noise capability of the Blue Yeti and see how it compares to the TONOR TC-777. Let's have a listen. Alright, now finally we're going to test out the low noise capabilities of the Rode SmartLav Plus, which is the one that I've clipped to my t-shirt right now. And let's have a listen how this would sound in a very silent environment. So as expected from the very low signal-to-noise ratio that I discussed in the beginning of this video, the TONOR TC-777 has the highest noise level of the three microphones that I showed in this comparison. Now, to even better highlight the difference in the floor noise of these three microphones, I will show you a clip where I've boosted the levels by 20 decibels after having equalized the three recordings from audio, which will make the very poor signal-to-noise ratio of this microphone even more apparent. Let's have a listen. Now, in my opinion, this is really sad and almost a bit of a deal breaker when it comes to this microphone, because basically the voice that comes out of it is really good, especially considering that this is a $40 microphone. However, the high floor noise makes it very noticeable, especially in YouTube videos that have a lot of silence in between, and you're gonna have to do a lot of post-processing if you want to use this microphone for your YouTube videos. On the other hand, if you intend to use this microphone for live streaming, then the high floor noise doesn't really bother you too much, because the games you're playing are naturally much louder than the hiss in the background, so nobody will notice it anyways. Right, next let's test how the pop filter is actually performing in terms of removing those pesky P sounds. So I've got a nasty little sentence here that I'm going to read, and then I'm going to remove the pop filter and the windshield and see how that influences the microphone's capability of actually filtering out those P sounds. So with everything assembled, it sounds like this. Peter Pan pooped his pants while Winnie the Pooh pooped the loo. And we're on 100% in Windows, which might not be the smartest idea. I think we're going to have to move down a little bit. This experiment has actually told us that the TONOR TC-777 is a bit too sensitive on Windows volume 100%. So we are going to have to turn this down a little bit in order to actually do this test properly. So let's turn it down to 90%, and let's have a look at the pippity pappity poo 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 papa. All right, we're not peaking now, so that's good. Let's repeat everything once again. Let's go back here, and let's repeat that sentence real quick. Peter Pan popped his pants while Winnie the Pooh popped the loo. Alright, that's with everything on it. Now without the pop filter. Peter Pan popped his pants while Winnie the Pooh popped the loo. Now, in fact, I only use a windshield whenever I recorded my videos with the Blue Yeti before, so I think the pop filter isn't even going to make such a big difference in terms of this test. But let's see what these samples are going to sound like. Peter Pan pooped his pants while Winnie the Pooh popped the loo. Peter Pan popped his pants while Winnie the Pooh popped the loo. So let's now also do the same p-test with the Blue Yeti. Peter Pan pooped his pants while Winnie the Pooh popped the loo. And again without this, for people thinking that this doesn't help. Peter Pan pooped his pants while Winnie the Pooh popped the loo. Now, when talking about rejecting these kind of annoying pop sounds, I think this microphone does an extremely good job and is probably even better than the Blue Yeti, even without any pop filters. Right, so in this next test, I want to figure out how well the TONOR TC-777 is able to filter out background noise, such as keyboard and mouse noises that might potentially be coming from behind the microphone. So let's have a listen how this would sound if I were to viciously crack into the keyboard and also whip around my mouse. Obviously, if you were to place the TC-777 behind the keyboard, such as like here, for example, if you don't like your microphone right in front of you and you don't want the USB cable to kind of interfere with your keyboard, then you could also place it right there. And let's see how that would sound in terms of kind of rejecting the noise from a keyboard and mouse, which is more in front of the keyboard, in front of the microphone, rather than actually behind it. So this is a second keyboard test on how the TC-777 is able to reject keyboard and mice sound, which currently is placed right next to the keyboard. And I'm talking to my friends over Discord or TeamSpeak, and maybe they don't like the clickety-clack of my mechanical keyboard. Obviously, this is a bit of an unfair comparison as this is a brown switched keyboard, as you can see here. So it's a bit louder than what you would usually have on a red keyboard or a red switched keyboard. But obviously, it's still much, much less obnoxious than one of the blue switches, which are really clickety-clackety-clackety-clack. I actually like them a lot. Right, so one last test that I almost forgot to conduct with the Rode SmartLav Plus is how it actually deals with background noise rejection. Obviously, this microphone isn't really suited well to playing with because you have kind of this cable here, but might as well just test this as well to see how it compares to the TONOR TC-777. So let's also viciously hack into our keyboard and whip our mouse around, as I would probably do in a regular session of COD Warzone. Finally, let's also test the background noise rejection of the Blue Yeti whenever I'm viciously hacking into the keyboard and my mouse. Finally, when talking about the noise rejection of this microphone from behind, so for example from your mouse and keyboard, I think that this microphone does an extremely good job, and it's basically on par with much more expensive microphones such as the Blue Yeti. Now, the last thing I want to show you in today's video is a test recording with the TONOR TC-777 and comparing it to the Rode SmartLav Plus. Alright, so this is a microphone test of the TONOR TC-777 and comparing it to the Rode SmartLav Plus in order to see whether one of these mics actually sounds better when it comes to my overall voice quality and to kind of just perceiving my voice in a natural fashion. Now, from this audio sample, I think that the TONOR mic produces a much warmer and much better balanced kind of sample of my voice compared to the Rode SmartLav Plus. So with that, I think it's time to sum up today's video and get to my conclusions. Now, if you have $40 today and you need a microphone for either YouTube or streaming, and you really cannot wait to get more money to maybe be able to afford a Blue Yeti, then I think that the TONOR mic is definitely one of the best microphones that you can buy for under $50. Now, when we're talking about $50, then you can obviously also get the Rode SmartLav Plus, which when you're a YouTuber might also be a very valid choice. However, while the Rode mic has actually a lower floor noise than the TONOR mic, I think that the overall sound balance of the recording that's coming out of this microphone is actually worse than the $40 TONOR TC-777. TONOR also should get plus points for including a pop filter, a windscreen, a shock mount, as well as a stand for their USB condenser mics. So for $40, you really cannot go wrong with this microphone. So if you want to get this mic for your YouTube videos or your live streams, then I would highly appreciate it if you could use my affiliate link linked in the description below, which gives me a small kickback upon each purchase. But that about wraps it up for my review of the TONOR TC-777. If you liked this video, then definitely smash like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you didn't like this video, no problem, hit that dislike button. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.